are on the lifeboat. Give me one moment and let me get this thing squared away. I'm having some internet issues. Yeah, that is odd. There we are. Bear with me, people. And we're going to get this show underway here. There we go. Look at that. And they said I had big fingers and couldn't handle this. Let's see. Alan Ballantyne, good to see you. Miss V. I'm happy everyone is joining in. Seventh Son, good to see you. So, obviously I'm doing this old school. Mark and I talked earlier today multiple times, and we had talked about maybe not doing a show today. And right up until a couple of minutes ago, I was probably going to go with that. But I had a thumbnail made, and the thumbnail was made for the day that we found out about Cindy Lou. That day. Hey, C.W. Terry, good to see you. Hermit Hill, Kentucky. Miss Hermit Hill, Kentucky. Good to see you. Jackson won't be here tonight. Oh, well, that stinks. So I had this thumbnail ready to go, and then we found out about Cindy, and obviously I wasn't going to do a normal show that day. So that thumbnail was there. Mark is not here because I was planning on just coming on here and saying that I wasn't going to do a show. And then right before that happened, right before it was time to go live, I got an email from a crew member, and I won't share the email, but I will tell you that it definitely was one of those things that made me think, and it made me think in a pretty big way. And for that reason, I decided that it was probably time to get back to doing the normal routine. Okay, I'm sorry, people. Now we're ready to roll. So, obviously, we're bouncing back from a loss here on the lifeboat. And, the show must go on and we must move on. And I think Cindy would probably be happy with that. We're going to miss her. And I think we did a tribute show, and a lot of people said a lot of really beautiful things. The number of you who reached out to me and sent some really beautiful stuff, I want to thank all of you. I think what I'm probably going to do in most cases is I'm going to shoot you the ability to get that information to her son. I think that would be something that, the family probably ought to see some of those things that you all said about her. There was a lot of really caring and beautiful things said about Cindy, and a lot of support for me in the whole thing. And you know what, people, whatever, this was tough. As the guy that runs this show, it's hard to lose somebody that you care about. And, she was such a big part of the show from the very first day that she showed up. However, I think that we would be doing her memory a disservice if we didn't continue to do what we do, because we're not a social club. We really aren't. What we do here is important. And, what we do here is try to save people's lives and try to get people the kind of help that they need. Joanna W., good to see you. Glad that you're here. What we do is important, and it needs to continue. It really does. So I think that in that spirit, let's get this show on the road, shall we? Before I do, since I'm going old school, and I apologize if Mark watches this, I apologize that I did this at the last minute, Mark. Mark very much wanted to be ready to do a show today, but and was ready to go, but we were going to hold off. Active duty military and a recovering addict. I just need some prayers at the moment. Thanks, and have a blessed night. Caleb, no problem whatsoever. That's what we do. Glad that you're here, and hey, thank you for your service, man. I have said this many times on the show, but my heroes wore uniforms, but they didn't have numbers on them. The way that, when my son was a boy and the troops were flying back during the Gulf War, we used to drive them up to the airport so that we could all say thanks to the guys in olive drab, because the really means a lot to us here. It's a true story. So thank you for your service, and we'd be more than happy to keep you in our prayers. I'm glad you're here on the boat. Ben Genetics, good to see you. Really happy you're here. So, since this is old school, let's go over the rules. But before we do, I'm not a doctor. I'm a recovering drug addict like most people on the boat. I am someone that struggled for a very long period of time in my life with addiction. I abused everything, but my poison of choice ended up being opiates, and pills led to heroin, and that led to incarceration. And since getting out, this has sort of been my mission in life. So that's who I am. People, nothing that you're going to hear here on the lifeboat is going to take the place of a doctor's advice. And if you have the ability to talk to a doctor before you get sober, it is always 100% of the time the best possible case scenario. Tell your doctor the truth and then listen to his advice, because working with a medical professional while you're getting sober, best case scenario, hands down. There isn't anything better. Brittany, I'm glad that you're here. Brittany, you know what, folks? I don't feel odd saying this. I had so many of you reached out to me and said some really great things, but Brittany sent one of the most beautiful emails that I've ever had since starting this show, and it really touched me. And Brittany, I appreciate it. I really do. It was beautiful, and it was well timed. That came into my inbox right around the time I needed to read it, so I really appreciate that. So we have rules for the live feed, and the rules go like this. No politics. We're not going to talk about it. Very rarely do we allow any politics of any kind to pop up into this. That occasionally changes when what's going on in the world politically overlays into rehabilitation drugs and things of that nature. So every once in a while. But in the comment section, don't tell us your political leanings. I don't care whether you're right or left or center. We don't need to hear it. It doesn't help. Okay? Please. We also do not talk about religion in a negative way. You can say, God bless you. You can say that your faith has helped you. You can say, we're saying a prayer for you. All of those things are great. What we don't say is, my God's better than your God. And we don't say to somebody, here's why you're going to hell. That stuff doesn't fly. It doesn't help anything, and we want it out of the comment section. No, cursing shouldn't be that hard. It's 1 hour. If you can't get through 1 hour of your life without cursing, then you need to check yourself, right? Everybody slips from time to time, but let's try to keep it clean if we can. That would really be good. And then lastly, mean people stink. Okay? So we're not going to allow you to be mean to the host, and we're not going to allow you to be, more importantly, mean to anybody in the comments section. If you say anything mean, our Blue Wrench crew is going to get rid of you, and they're going to get rid of you quickly. Also, if you created your account today, you better tell us who you are and how you found us, because we're a little jumpy about accounts that were created the same day that they come to visit. Why? Because they say stupid things, then they screenshot them and post them in other places. And we've seen that before, so we're cautious, right? We want to make sure that we protect the people on the boat, and the fact that people unload and talk about things from their past and things that are, very, very personal. For that reason, we want to make sure that those people who are mean don't hang out on the lifeboat, plain and simple. So, with all of that done, people, there are 2 rules that come up in life. And I'll tell you something, today has been one of those days. Here's what I mean by that. Every single thing that could go wrong, basically, with what I'm doing in life has gone wrong today. I've got all kinds of things happening. I don't know whether I shared this with everybody, but you know that I have a little hobby that I'm doing with timepieces. And because of that, I do quite a bit on eBay. Recently, eBay said, no, you can't do that. You're a felon. That's not exactly how they worded it, but that's what it boils down to. So that was a bit of a setback. And because of that, I go through other platforms that are a little bit more understanding of the fact that people can change. Okay, Ben Genetics, we hope you're back. You're in our thoughts and prayers always, bud. So that being said, I'm doing a lot with watches. This is what I do, and there right now I have two watches that these aren't incredibly valuable. People, I'm not spending money on Rolexes and things like that, but they're important to me, and I have two of them hung up in customs in I believe Missouri, and it's odd because I have done this before, never had a problem, but now all of a sudden, they want to know, like that commercial, they want to know, mom's maiden name and real hair color. It's just been bizarre, the hoops that I'm hopping through. And if I don't get all of the paperwork done in a certain period of time, then they're sending it back 3/4 of the way around the world, where I'm not going to be able to get them. Then I have another watch that was released, and I hung around today because it was on the truck for delivery. And that usually means, as you know, that you're going to have somebody ring your doorbell. 40-foot garbage man, good to see you. You're going to have somebody ring your doorbell, and you're going to show up with a package and go, here you go, you've been waiting on this? You get all excited. So at about 3:30, the status changed from it's out on the truck for delivery to you need to come and pick it up. What they didn't do is tell me who they were. See, this came from another country. And there's a reason I'm telling you all this, people, and I'll get to it. But it came from another country. And because of that, once it hits the United States, it's issued a new tracking number when it goes to whatever carrier or courier is going to take care of delivering the product to its final destination. I have the tracking number from the people that got it to the United States. What I don't have is any idea who's delivering it from that point on. But they want me to come get it. And that obviously makes life tough. Now, normally that would be DHL. So I drove down right before the going live here on the lifeboat. I drove down to DHL to go and see if they had a package for me. Of course, they don't. And so right now I have a watch that, literally, God only knows where it is. I can't seem to find anyone else that knows where it is. And these automated systems now are so automated that you literally cannot talk to a human being. There's no way. And I went through that stupid automated system so many times trying to look for the option that says, would you like to talk to a person? Doesn't happen. So when I say, hey, operator, they say, fine. Enter your tracking number. We'll let you talk to an operator. So blah, blah, blah. The reason that I'm telling you this, people, is it dovetails right into Tommy's 2 rules for life. And it's really kind of bizarre, people, because I had this thumbnail put together and this this video was planned prior to us losing Cindy Lou. And truthfully, one of the reasons was conversations that I had been having with her the previous 2 days. Hi, Kathy. Good to see you. Yes, a storm slamming the East Coast. They're saying it is going to be like a nor'easter for the states that I used to live in. Nor'easters meant really deep snow, really strong winds up to 60 miles an hour, snow all the way from the Virginias to Maine, right? So that's incredible. Good stuff. I'm a fan of snow, so for me, I think that's kind of cool. But I had this talk planned prior to what happened with us losing Cindy, and a lot of it was, again, based on things that she and I were talking about. And now, obviously, she's not going to hear this, but I think it's important that the rest of us do. And I think in light of what happened to Cindy, it's actually more appropriate than it was when I first laid this out. And the 2 rules for life, I didn't come up with these, people. I just love them. This is something that I think probably all of you have heard before. Sarah, good to see you. The first rule in life is never sweat the small stuff. Right? Never sweat the small stuff. The number of people who are battling addiction, who can get completely derailed in their serenity because of really stupid things that happen, it's astounding. And you have to understand that this makes perfect sense. We've talked about this so many times, but the key to living a happy, sober life is being able to deal with the travails that come down the pike when you're sober. Living a life that when bad things happen, you don't have a meltdown at every speed bump. And I'm the king. Make no mistake, people. I am the king. Jacob Forrester, number 2. He nailed it. Number 2 is it's all small stuff. But let's stick with number 1 for a second. Because we don't have the God-given gift of being able to cope with things, it's usually what leads us into addiction. Instead of using the coping skills that most people normally have, right? It's actually something that most humans, and I'm going to do my air quotes again, right? Most normal people are born with the ability to cope with things. Those of us that can't, those of us who don't have that ability, tend to use chemicals as a way to not deal with it, as a way to not cope with what's going on. We drug our brains. Well, now that is no longer a part of who we are, what happens is the really small stuff can get you really off base. Now, I'm 6.5 years sober. When I first started my journey into sobriety, if I cut myself shaving, it could screw up my entire day. All of a sudden, the things that happened to me every single day for the previous 30 years, nothing changed. You know, when I was a heroin addict, I probably didn't shave as often, but when I shaved, if I cut myself shaving, who cares? My coping mechanism was putting a needle in my arm. And being high, nothing bothered me. Or if it did, it didn't bother me enough to even, sort of pop up on the radar. It was always, no big deal. Jesse, good to see you, bud. Jimmy Pickles, hey, glad you're here. So all of a sudden, all of these little itty bitty things that had been no big deal while I was a drug user were now enough to get me off of having a good day and into having a really, really bad day. And in the beginning, bad days meant that I sat and fantasized for most of the day about getting high. And this is important stuff, people, because we're not fantasizing about getting high. We're fantasizing about being able to cope. Whether you realize it or not, that's the truth. You're not fantasizing about, when you think, oh man, I wish I was high right now. No. You wish you didn't have to deal with the problems in your life right now. And that's what high meant. But it is once you get to the point where you say, I'm done, the real struggle and the real journey becomes, how am I going to cope with all of these things? And I think the first rule of, coming to the realization that cutting yourself shaving, probably not enough to make an entire day bad, right? It doesn't make any sense that you're going to let your day go by. You're not going to let yourself get derailed because you cut yourself shaving. Well, climb the food chain, right? The small things that can happen, the longer you're sober, the more that good-sized things become smaller things. Medium-sized things become much smaller, and small things don't even pop up on the radar. I have to watch myself that I don't get really bent out of shape. Today was a day that every challenge that could come did. And on top of that, I'm not over Cindy. I'm not. If I lost anybody on the boat, it's like getting kicked in the stomach. It's a difficult thing because you people really are family to me. But Cindy and I had spent so much time emailing and direct messaging back and forth. I was very active with what was going on in her life, and I took an interest that's a different level than I normally take. It doesn't mean that I cared for her more than I care for other people. It just means that I was way more active in what was going on in her life. And I knew she was getting ready to go back to court. I knew the stress that was, going to be on her. And we actually, sat and I wrote, I don't know what you would call them, scripts. I wrote out her thoughts to help her get them in an order so that she could talk to the judge and the attorneys about this. And I had just spent so much, we were so back and forth for so long that, to wake up and find out she was gone, that was tough. Throw in all of the things that happened today, and all of a sudden I was back to 6 months sober, or 6 weeks sober, and letting this really, really grate on me. and letting this really threaten not my sobriety, but my serenity. And when my serenity is threatened, nothing bad's going to happen today. I'm solid. You know what I mean? Not using drugs is the most important thing in my life. So nothing's going to trigger me to instantly use. I'm not going to hear something that's going to, that's it, let's go get some smack. That's never going to happen. But what happens is it starts to mess with the equilibrium. It starts to mess with the balance of my life. And instead of being one of those situations that triggers me to use, what it does is it starts the ball rolling for me going in the opposite direction. And instead of dealing with things in a productive way, I start to do the same thing that I used to do, except I do it without drugs. In other words, I'm not dealing with this. I'll just walk away. I'm just not going to deal with it. I'm going to shut it out of my mind. I'm straight not going to deal with it. And those start to add up, right? Those start to pile on. And not dealing with things, people, it has its place. We did a video on this. There is something to be said for not dealing with something in the moment. You're going to have to deal with it at some point. And I have really been trying in my life to get to some form of zen where I can deal with things as they come up. And, everything today started to really weigh on me. And I pulled the car over at one point because I was so pissed that I was ready to blow a gasket. And I sat and I started going through all of the things that I would tell anybody on the boat who was going through the same thing. I started to coach myself. And I started to say, are you really? Where are we at? You think these watches are going to disappear? What is it that's getting to you? And the truth is, what was getting to me was Cindy was dead. Didn't have anything to do with the watches. It had to do with the fact that I came on here and I did a show as a tribute to Cindy. And if you watched that show, it was hard. I had a very difficult time getting through it. And it was not an hour long. It was a short show because and then Mark and I sat here and cried when the show was over. And the problem was the second I walked away from that, I did this kind of a thing. All right, well, that's done. Mentally, that was it. And I didn't do a grieving process and I didn't go through a lot of other things. And then the following day, man, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. It really did. And I tried to cope with it, and I tried to get philosophical about it and do all of those things. And when that didn't work, I put it away again. And then today, all of these things were coming up, and my response was, I don't want to do this show tonight. I'm not going to do it. And the reason is I'm not right. I'm not right in my head. Holy crap! What do I tell everybody here? If you're not right in your head, what do? You come here and you talk to the people on the boat and you tell them that you're going through it. And their perspective is going to help you right now. Joanna W. says, exactly, Tommy, how I'm functioning right now. Okay. Knowing there are other people here that are going through the same thing, that there are other people here that are in the same boat, this is therapy. Big hugs, Tommy. We sure appreciate you doing the tribute show for her and us. Thank you. Thank you, Joanna. I said at the beginning of that show that, that with all the public speaking and all of the videos and everything that I've done, that was the first one that really, really made me nervous and uncomfortable. And I was being very honest. That show was hard. The other community that has those two main rules are combat veterans. People that have been in the life have some psychological characteristics of combat vets. If you've been through it, it's all small. You know something, Jacob? I've said this before. I really have. And I don't know whether or not... I think I've said it on the lifeboat. If I haven't, then... I should have, but I know that this is something that comes up a lot because, when you see two addicts get together and start talking, it has the same kind of a feel of two people that have been in combat. They get together and someone will say, what was your drug of choice? Opiates. Oh yeah, what were you doing? And you'll hear somebody go, I was on fentanyl. Whew, yeah, man. Yeah, I know, boy, that's the tough right there. Tough kick. That's really hard to get off. And it sounds just like two guys going, where were you stationed at, right? Well, I was in Saigon. Oh, man, it was hot there. Honestly, people, if you watch the two, there are so many similarities. But the difference is that, especially recently, because obviously Vietnam was kind of different, but especially since Vietnam, combat vets are loved. Combat vets are respected. Combat vets, there is instant sympathy and empathy for what these people went through. And drug addicts are hated. Drug addicts are not respected. There's no empathy. There's no sympathy. Well, damn it, you did it to yourself. You got what you deserved. You want to put a needle in your arm? This is what you get. They should have locked you up and thrown away the key. All of that, right? So, and it's a good point, Jacob. It really is. Because all of a sudden, it's the same kind of a situation, except it's the kind of a situation with people that don't really like us, the rest of society. So it gets back. It dovetails into what I was talking about. So here I am going through it and feeling bad. Well, where the hell am I going to get support? I'm sure not going to get it in the real world, honestly. I mean, the sick society and world that we live in, if I said, I lost a close friend, and by the time they find out where I knew that close friend from, they're not going to care about it anymore. Combat vets are respected until they become addicts. Wow, what a great comment. What a great comment. Holy moly. Miss Herman Hill, Kentucky. Beautiful. I hope everybody caught that. She said combat vets are respected until, and she capitalized that, they become addicts. A great, insightful comment, because it's the truth, right? We throw them away. There was an article done in Rolling Stone magazine. It's about 3 years ago, and they were talking about the rate of suicide among combat vets, and they highlighted the story of two vets in particular. And when they listed the drugs that were being prescribed to one of the person that killed themselves, he was taking Klonopin. He was taking 3 different psych meds. He was taking, 3 different antidepressants. He was taking Seroquel. He was taking about 15 prescriptions a day. And you're right. All of a sudden it was, well, this guy's a junkie. Holy crap, how could he not be? Right? That's our society. You send somebody over and let them watch the worst things that anybody could possibly view. And then when they come back and feel the need to use some kind of a substance to cope with that, all of a sudden they're a dirtbag. All of a sudden they're a dirtbag. These are people that, one moment they're ready to serve. Hold on one second. Yeah, and the next thing you know, it's just ugly, right? Instant ugly. Another thing, I think I know I've said this before, is that you see the same thing with people that have been in prison. If ever I find myself around people that have been in the federal system, they'll say, where'd you do your time? And, you name off a couple of prisons because you get moved around a lot in the feds. And, it's the same kind of a thing. Oh, yeah, you're Victorville? Pff, ugly. What years? Oh, were you there when they killed so-and-so? Were you there when the riot broke off? And it's sort of the same kind of a feel as you see with the combat vets, except once again, there's not a lot of respect for a convict. Jacob says, and a lot of them do kill the pain like that. Sometimes it takes strong chemicals to stop the screaming. You know what? What a heavy comment. Again, just you people are on tonight. That is a heavy, heavy comment. Sometimes it takes it takes strong chemicals to stop the screaming. It really is a sad state of affairs. Vicky Brooke, you're right. Joe is a sweetheart. There's no question. Okay, yeah, no question. We love you, Joe, and we're glad that you're doing well. And Joe, I know you're in contact usually with Niall. If you could just tell him to reach out to me. I sent him a couple of direct messages, and I'm worried about him. So if you could just tell Niall he's in my thoughts, that would be good. So back to the subject matter at hand. You see what I did there, people? Right? Squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. Who, by the way, is sleeping in a different room. I don't know what's up with Squirrel today. She's not even in the basket. But take one night off. Cat automatically starts acting weird. But yes, so you get back to this concept of how do we deal now with what's going on? And, as I was, pulled over and I was going through all of this stuff in my head, and, it occurred to me that I was tabling things and emotions and things that were bothering me, and I wasn't dealing with them. And they really do started to add up, and it started to weigh on me, and it really became an issue. And I realized that the rule, don't sweat the small stuff. The second rule, as Jacob wisely said, is all things are small stuff. I would change that a little bit, and I had intended to tonight, right? The first rule is don't sweat the small stuff. The second rule is they're all small stuff until they're not, right? Everything is small until it isn't. Because make no mistake, there are things that are going to happen that are not small stuff. And losing someone you care about is absolutely one of those. No question. Someone getting a terminal illness is one of those things. They're big, right? Those are big stuff. However, if you sweat everything, if you sweat the small stuff and you allow it to derail you and bum you out and ruin your day, what's going to happen when the big stuff does come? It does take strong chemicals. I had such high anxiety that I was hallucinating and my meds had to be increased. Now I'm taking less than a quarter of what I was on. Screaming memories are horrible. No question, Vicky. The memories from the past are horrible. And I think I am very careful about never sharing things that people tell me in confidentiality here on the boat. It's the wrong thing to do. I'm not a doctor, or there's no confidentiality like that, but it's just the wrong thing to do. If you talk to somebody in privacy, they should expect that to be allowed. It really should. But I'm going to bring up something because I know for a fact it was put into the group chat over on the Safe Harbor, so it was not a secret. But Cindy took benzos. She was prescribed. She wasn't scoring on the street, but she was taking clonazepam, right? Clonazepam, which is Klonopin, is a very, very strong tranquilizer, and she was taking it for very similar reasons. But it if you can begin to step that down, I know there are people for whom that's going to be something you're going to have to take for the rest of your life. And I don't judge anybody for that in any way. But my advice to people who must take benzos, my advice is make sure you're taking the smallest amount you possibly can. I mean, that's really, and that should be the same with pain management. That should be the same with anything that they're giving you that has the ability to be abused. Anything, if you can take the lowest dose that you can and still get the desired result, then that's what you got to do. When you start getting up into really heavy amounts, you're looking at a respiratory depressant. That's a dangerous thing. And, Vicky has been super open about, just the whole benzo thing. And, I believe it was Vicky that said, she didn't realize that benzos could, kill you in withdrawal until she had, maybe it wasn't you. I don't know, people. The old gray matter, it ain't what it used to be. Hold on one sec. I like this. Joanna W. says, it's okay, Vicky. Just come and sit quietly with us. Whatever makes you comfy. We just want you with us. And congrats. You know what? That's awesome. And there's something to be said for that. I hate to keep going back to this, but if you remember, when Cindy came over to the Safe Harbor, she was there about a day or two and said, you know what, I can't take this. It's too much. It's like sensory overload. And she left, and so many people reached out and said the same thing. Just come and listen. Just come and, just be there. Be part of the group. You don't have to feel like you got to say anything or anything else. And boy, at the end, you couldn't shut her up sometimes. She would come over there, and it was such a beautiful thing to see her get to that point, I was on 1 milligrams 4 times a day. Now it's 25 milligrams 3 times a day. It was me. It's Xanax. No problem. No one triggers me here. Awesome. So yeah, you were taking alprazolam, right, which is Xanax, and you were taking 4 milligrams a day. People, that is a pile of Xanax. That's 4 bars. 4 bars a day is a lot. But you're now down to 3/4 of a milligram. That is really, really good stuff. Proud of you. I really am, because that is a very, very tough drug to step down. It really is. Your body doesn't want to put up with that. And if I had to guess, Vicky, I would say that's been a struggle. But proud of you. I really am. Joanna gets a chuckle out of that. It really was the truth. Each of us is going through our own mental battlegrounds. Some days are harder than others, but this group of helping hands can help pull you out of the mental no man's land within our mind. Wow. Like I said, this has really been a great night for comments, Jesse. Good stuff. Hard to get rid of those adrenaline shakes. Nothing like those mental hauntings. I wish some of those drugs were safer. But yep, they step you off the sedation. Yeah, you know what? Here's the really crazy thing. For those of us of a specific age who remember the days of methaqualon, right, or Seconal or Tuinol, there was a large family of drugs that were written, prescriptions were written to deal with anxiety disorders or people that were struggling with anxiety. Barbiturates were very commonly prescribed for that, and the death nail to all of that was the Quaalude, methaqualon. It had become the most prescribed drug in America. There was literally not one drug, not penicillin, right? Nothing was prescribed more than was Quaaludes. Just hundreds and hundreds of thousands of prescriptions, being written. Stacy Michael says Quaaludes were widely abused in the old days. Here's the thing. They were absolutely, no, that's not right. It's 4 1 milligram tablets each day. Now it's 3/4 milligrams 3 times each day. Oh, okay. Still way better. Benzos are especially bad for people my age. It's not that difficult for me because I don't want to take them. Well, it's a great start to quitting anything, is wanting to get off, obviously. But Stacy, what you were saying, everybody abused Quaaludes because they had this hearing in Congress, and they brought in all of these doctors, and they asked all of these medical experts, what's a legitimate reason to write a prescription for a Quaalude? And, it was being written for everything from the inability to sleep to menstrual cramps to pain, right? Painkiller. It was, you went in there and said, I've got athlete's foot. What you need's a Quaalude. They were writing prescriptions for it, for everything. It was just bizarre. But when they brought in all of these experts and said, what is the legitimate reason? If it's not this, and this, what is a reason to write a prescription for Quaalude? And every one of these experts said there was no legitimate thing that you could do with them. There really is nothing that you could be doing. Ludes were different than downers, kind of a paradoxical effect. Here's the thing with Quaaludes. When you took it, it either knocked you out or you fought through that. And if you fought through that and you stayed awake, then that's where the whole paradoxical effect. But if you allowed it to drug you and you didn't try to fight through it, it was great for knocking people out. If what you wanted to do was lay down and go to sleep, Quaaludes were great. But the other family of barbiturates were really good for treating people with anxiety. But because of what happened with Quaaludes, the whole world got kind of paranoid. Quaaludes were the OxyContin of the day. Yeah, great analogy. Different family of drugs. But what he means is that it was the buzzword. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was abusing it. Hey, Brandon, good to see you. For our generation, it's the Quaalude. It's for OxyContin. For the previous generation, it was the Quaalude. And yeah, it's a great analogy. It really is. Yeah, but when I tried one, that's the effect I got from them. Yeah, I fought through it. It knocked out my hubby in our ride home. I know. It knocked out. Well, it was a very, 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 very strong drug. Now the trouble is when they got rid of it, they got rid of all of it, right? Seconal, Tuinal, all of the other family of barbiturates, with the exception of probably phenobarbital, but they got rid of all of them. And there were some of them that were very effective for anti-anxiety. And believe it or not, because when people think of barbiturates, they think of Quaaludes, but they were considerably less, abused and dangerous. The reason that they got rid of them is because they said there were so many people that would drink on them and then overdose. Hold on one second here, people. Something odd just popped up, and it was somebody from the boat. Let's see here. Let's see what's going on. Give me one moment, folks, because this is actually business related, so to speak. I'm here on YouTube, but no comments getting through. Hi, everyone. I'm on a quarter of 1 gram of clonazepam for PTSD, but I only get 10 tabs a year. Sorry. Dorothy, I'm not exactly sure why your messages are not getting through. I'm not sure why your messages are not getting through. That is, here's the thing. If I could see you, I could check to see if there was something wrong, but I can't even see your name. And if I can't see your name, I can't click on it. But Dorothy is here. Dorothy, let's hope that the next time, yeah. No. She said, I think she was concerned that I was looking while the show was on. We're family here. It's all good. I'll try to figure out what's up so that the next time you're here, that won't be a problem. I will go in the back office and see if by some chance you got blocked. I don't know if that happened, or if it did, I will make sure that you're unblocked, okay? But because we don't want that to happen. But if you're only getting 10 a year, I don't think that's a real issue. YouTube is causing problems tonight. Have her go out and come back. I couldn't find the channel tonight, period. Wow, that's lovely. Okay, good advice from Vicky Brooke. She says leave, right? Just like you stop watching, go away for about 10, 20 seconds, come back into the feed and see if it will allow you to leave comments. But there's been a lot of problems lately with YouTube. There really have been. Hey, Darrigan. What happened, like the night that I did the show for Cindy, the number of people that went to the comment section and left a 21 anchor salute, I was hoping the entire crew would do it. And there were people sending me screenshots showing me that they did it, but they weren't appearing. They did end up popping up a lot later. It was bizarre. YouTube is hit or miss, people. Sometimes it runs really well, and sometimes it really does not. But Dorothy, if you still are having problems, I promise you that when this show is over, I will go and research your name in the back office and see if there's a problem. Sometimes someone will accidentally block somebody, big fingers. So I will see if that is the case. But providing you are a subscriber, if you're not a subscriber, I can't even look you up. So at least not in the back office. But as I was saying, people, don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff until it isn't. And when it isn't, and those things come up that are, yes, technical Tommy. When things come up that are big, when things come up that are overwhelming, I've got fat fingers, but it wasn't me. Well, that's your story. When things come up that are overwhelming, when things come up that are the big deal, death, terminal illness, when those things come up for everybody, that's a difficult row, to hoe. But for those of us in sobriety, that's when you have to look for a power greater than yourself. And I'm not preaching to you. For me, hey, DJ Daddy-O, I'm glad that you're here. I really am glad that you're here. For me, I spend a lot of time talking to God, but I also reach out to the crew, because 3 of you, right? 4 of you, 5 of you, 2 of you are a power greater than me. And it's something that I can really lean on, which is why I'm here tonight. YouTube doesn't feed their tech chimps enough peanuts and bananas sometimes. They get cranky. You know what? I've always loved that. I love it anytime you say that. I really do. So again, people, 2 rules for life. Don't sweat the small stuff. And it's all small stuff until it isn't. And when it isn't, that's when you reach for a power greater than yourself, which is a group, right? Someone we haven't seen in a while? Deja. All right, people. C.W. Terry, both of the people that you just named are no longer here because they have decided that they hate me and that they hate the lifeboat. They have gone over to another channel where they have said things about me that are absolutely unbelievable. They've gone over to a channel that has death pools that talk about when I'm going to die and hope that I do. I don't like bringing it up in the on these live feeds. I don't like it appearing in any of my videos because I don't want to give the people that have those channels any ink at all. But since you might not have been aware of it, here it is. Okay, they neither of them are very fond of me. That's what it is. And this happens, people. It happens all the time. And it is what it is. I pray for the haters, says Alan Ballantyne. I do as well. I do as well. I pray for the haters. But Francois says, that's hilarious. Childish, poor souls. It's okay. Let them be. You know what? I honestly, like I said, I don't like bringing it up. It's not something that I bring up here. I usually don't say anybody's names. I don't do any of that stuff. But here it is. It's out there. But the reason that Mark and I were going to come on, in spite of the fact that originally we hadn't intended to do a show, period. But then we decided that I would come on and at least tell everybody that there wasn't going to be a show and why, kind of a thing. But the reason that we decided that I needed to definitely come on the air is because tomorrow night is going to be a big deal here on the Lifeboat. It's going to be one of... No, it's okay, Terry. Don't... You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. Tomorrow night is going to be one of the big deals here. And this is something that I'm super excited about. And I want everybody to build for it, right? So I wanted to come on and tell you so that it... And CW, don't say sorry, bud. We're family. That was not something that requires an apology. I love you, brother. So tomorrow night, I am interviewing somebody here on the Lifeboat. And it is one of those... I love doing interviews, people. There's nothing for me. That's the highlight of being the captain of this boat is when I do interviews. It's the truth. It is the most fun that I can have as a captain here. And tomorrow night's is one that I am fired up about. We talk about the success rates and we talk about the failure rates and we talk about, relapse, and the numbers are not in our favor. We know this, right? And it's something that we have to live with. Very often, people are going to relapse. We're going to lose them. And there are people who are going to overdose. And the largest number of people that we deal with aren't going to make it. That's just the way it is. So you've seen interviews with people and then you see them disappear and you see it's just kind of the nature of how it works. we said right in the beginning when we were talking about this, people would say, what happens if you interview somebody and then they go and relapse? Doesn't that make you look stupid? Of course not. If we interview somebody and they go and they relapse, it just makes them human and it makes the show real. You know what I mean? You don't just interview, but the interview I'm doing tomorrow night is with a guy that is hitting it out of the park in every single aspect of his life. I mean, this is really a guy that is just killing it. And it's exciting because, this is somebody that's got a list of things that they want to accomplish and he's ticking them off like this. And if I had postponed this interview about one more week, I think he probably would have hit his weight loss goal because he's about this close. But tomorrow night, we will be interviewing my brother Alan. And Alan and I, we have a really cool relationship. We really do. And, I everybody on the boat, I care about everybody. But I've been real, open and honest about the fact that there's just something different with me and Alan. And then, there's you'll probably hear more tomorrow night about some of the things that just sort of links us. But we just groove together. We have a very good time. And, he's on the other side of the world, but calls me on the telephone and we talk. We text each other and email each other, if not daily, pretty close to it. And sometimes, 4, 5, 6 times a day. So we're just, it's going to be fun. When interviews are their best, it's like you're all not there and the camera's not there and it's just, a guy and a girl or a couple of guys talking. And that's really when interviews are just, the best. And I think it's going to be an awful lot of fun to watch Alan and I just sit and talk. I really am looking forward to it. And, Captain, I made a video for the Facebook group, but it won't load. And I've tried to send it to you. Same problem. Right now, they're having problems with Meta, which is what I guess they're calling Facebook right now. Messenger's having problems. Facebook's having problems. So that could be the issue. I'll tell you what. Try to send me just a regular message in Messenger, and I will respond back to you. And if we're still having problems, there's a couple of other ways we can do it. We might be able to go and upload it to a different platform where then I can pull it off of. So we might be able to do that. There's a couple of different ways we can do it. So just reach out to me in Messenger, and we'll see about that. All right? I think that'll work. Charlie Murphy, good to see you, my friend. Glad you're here. So tomorrow night, people, at the same bat time on the same bat channel, I am going to be doing a minimum of a 1-hour interview with Mr. Alan Ballantyne, and I am beyond excited for this interview. I really am. Every time I bring up Alan, I kind of want to brag about him, but I don't want to get too out of control bragging with him because I don't want to steal any thunder from tomorrow night's interview. But it's always awesome when you get a chance to meet somebody that right? I mean, you people have been doing this for so long now. We're closing in on what, about a half a year that we've all been hanging out together. And Alan's one of those that's, been there from the word go. So, you've all had a chance to interact with him a lot. Now you're going to have a chance to see him and hear him. And that's always, it's always cool. And it's always one of those things that really seems to affect the crew. Not to mention the fact that he's got a fairly cool accent. We Americans are all Anglophiles and love anybody with an accent, so that's always a big thing. Hey, Tommy and everyone joined late, but we'll rewatch later. 357, good to see you, bud. 357, tomorrow night, right here, we are doing an interview. I was just telling everybody, but it's not one you want to miss. It's going to be a live interview, so it's always very, very cool. And you know what, people? It's... We're the ones with accent. No, Alan is the one with the cool accent. Yeah, Alan thinks no. But I am Wata. There you go, Jesse. That's like me and Raven having a long video chat yesterday. It was so great to see my beautiful, beloved friend's face. Yeah, very cool, right? Very, very cool. It's and it's always. I'll tell you something. It's strange for me. I think more than everybody else because you all see me, right? I mean, I do this with everybody, but all I see of you people are thumbnails. So with very few exceptions, I don't know what you sound like. I don't know what you look like, but you can't say the same about me, right? Everybody knows what I look like and what I sound like, probably more than you'd like to, because I mean, the hundreds and hundreds of hours now of content. We spend you know what? Oh no, not the Vegemite. Check out Flaming's channel, heavy on veg. Here's the thing. Because Alan and I are so close, I'm going to give him about a 5-minute window at the end of the interview where he's allowed to say stupid things about Vegemite. For the first 55 minutes, we will have the Vegemite free zone where, you know why? Because no one wants to see me go, right? Like I'm going to vomit all over the place. And that's sort of one of the things that happens. Anytime somebody brings up Vegemite, I always get that kind of thing in the back of the throat that just makes you want to blow chunks. Make sure, people, that you don't just you get 5 minutes, but it's at the end. Don't be trying to take it out of the middle or anything like that. It's the last 5 minutes you're allowed to bring up Vegemite. So do make sure, people, that they don't just come and watch the interview. Build for it. I'm not kidding. If you got somebody that you know that you've thought this is somebody that needs help, this is somebody. I know it's hard to reach out to people who are living in the addictive lifestyle. It's really hard. It's hard to break the ice. It's hard to say somebody, I really want to help you. That's the difficult thing to do. Now, not so much for me anymore because I've been doing it now for a hot minute and it's all I do. So I don't really have a problem with it, but I know that it's hard for a lot of people. So all you got to do is say, you know what? I watched this channel. There's an interview tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. Like, come check out this channel. Come watch this interview. Because inevitably, interviews, they're just way better than just listening to me. When we hear from somebody else, you gagging is what brought me to this boat to start with. Yeah, you and everybody else. The Systroming video is definitely what brought a lot of people here. Vicky says, thank you, Vicky. I'm not going to read that. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. That really means the world to me. But just know this. We do better with video. I mean, with interviews. Way better. Like, we get more views. We get much more many more people that sign up and become members of the channel. There's just something different about hearing the story of somebody that's being successful. You hear me every day. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the same stuff all the time. But when you hear it with somebody else, it's awesome. DJ, I'm with you. DJ Daddy-O says, I can't wait to see Alan. He gives me hope. Oh, you gotta love that. You know something? DJ Daddy-O, this is something that I even said this to Alan, that this is why I am so looking forward to having him on this show, because and I'm not going to steal any thunder, I promise, because I'm in the last minute here, but he's not just a guy that got sober. I could almost say he's half the man he used to be, right? He's 2/3 the man he used to be. The man has lost 1/3 of his body weight. That gives a lot of people hope. That is, and it's a great statement on the kind of things that can happen once you get rid of that first monster, right? Once you knock that first monster out, it's amazing the other things that can happen. Now, I'll give Alan a ton of credit for that. He really has done the majority of that, that heavy lifting on his own. But we've been blessed that he's here with the boat too. You know, not just as a crew member, but as a brother and a friend, guy I really love. All right, people. So that is tomorrow night. Same bat time, same bat channel. I will be here, and so will my brother Alan, and my brother Mark will be on the other side of the glass. And you know what, people? Let me reiterate. Mark would have been here with us tonight if I had asked him, but I didn't think I was going to do this video until just before we went live. I had just read an email from DJ Daddio, actually, that kind of talked me into doing this. So I didn't know I was going to go live. Squirrel is not in the basket, but I will tell her that you said good night. Between now and tomorrow, when I interview Mr. Alan Ballantyne, one assignment. You know what you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to reach out there and try to save somebody. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. This here was the lifeboat. God bless. We will see you tomorrow. All right, Squirrel.